Welcome back to Mascot Media Video YouTube channel. My name is Gilbert Angonye. My job is to make the web development simple and easy for you in this generation of IT so you can start and finish building your web project. If you value this video, enable to give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way to growing our channel and to make sure that you never miss out of any new updates. Today, we shall be discussing HTML5 elements. HTML, like you know, is a framework for web development. It gives us the environment where web development codes are being handled. It is a skeleton, it is a structure. Without HTML, it will be difficult to structure a website. In this beginner's tutorial, I'm taking my time to explain what HTML is all about. But the tutorial we are in now, the chapter we are in now is called Elements. When you come to web development, the first thing you will notice is an element, even when you do not know the name. To some people, web development starts with HTML, and HTML starts with elements. The beginning and the last of HTML is elements. There's nothing you will do in HTML without elements. I know you may not understand what I'm saying, but even if you do need to listen to what I want to show you now. HTML could be said to be the A and the Z of web development. An element is the first and last in web development and also in HTML. Here, I'm going to press Shift and 1 to have our page. What I've just seen on the screen now will be explained today in this very topic. If I fail to explain all these things here, that means I've failed as a teacher. My goal of this tutorial today is to explain to you what these things are, all these things you are seeing here. That is my goal in this very tutorial. From beginning to the end of this tutorial, that is what I'm going to handle. When we're making mention of elements, you need to understand the importance of elements in HTML. So let me put down the title so that you understand what we're saying. HTML5 element. That is the title. And if I'm to make it so I will see it in the browser, I open the live server. If I open the live server, we'll have it on the browser. You can't see anything because I've not decided to show anything. So you can see it's HTML elements. Before I start going in details of what HTML, their functions are, we need to know that HTML element is a component of a HTML document that tells a web browser how to structure and interpret a part of HTML document. The duty of this HTML is to tell the web browser how it's going to structure and interpret any document that is given to it. I want you to look at what I wrote here and what I wrote here. I wrote two things, but see what happened. Let me maximize this very browser. And I want you to look up here. If you can see what we have up here, is HTML5 elements. Then look at what we have here, HTML5 elements. The question now is this: who told the browser to write this one up here and write this one down? That's the question you can ask. But it lets for the browser now to tell you, say, look, I got an instruction. And the question now is, what was the instruction? Here, the instruction here was title, and that's why I decided to use the same title, the same word, HTML5, HTML5. And the browser will tell you, say, look, I got an instruction. What was the instruction? He said the instruction was a title. Here, I got an instruction. What was the instruction? The instruction was H2. So if the instruction happened to be title and you put them in this way, what if I say, and I still paste the same thing? I save. Look at the browser. If you stay with us, look at the browser. If you look at the browser, you agree with me that these two now came up here with different sizes. So one would say that the HTML document tells a web browser how to structure and interpret. I think I've explained that. Now when you have a title, you're telling the web browser, say, look, put this thing here for me. But meanwhile, if you look at the screen, you will realize that a HTML5 that is in 3 lines, 1, 2, and 3. They're not the only text on that page. But how come is only one we're seeing? These are instructions that were told to the browser by the element. The element structured these things, and that is why we are here. Then I personally do not like using color to teach elements, but because we have a lot of elements here, that is why I'm going to use color now to pinpoint, to show you what elements are and how they look like. So that as I continue to put them down, you say, yes, this is an element. If you look at my page at this Visual Studio, please, I'm using Visual Studio. It's the text editor I'm using for the entirety of this very HTML. In one of my tutorials, you can go and check in the channel. And why you need to listen to this very element very well, because along the line, I'm not going to do much on talking. I'll be using the word element. So when I mention elements, you definitely know what I'm referring to. Do not get lost. Now, looking at this page you have here, you see this blue color down here, doc type, HTML, head, meta, title, head, this, that. All these texts that have the same color here are called elements. You realize that in every line, let me expand it so it will be easy for you to see and understand. In every line, to start any line, it has to start with elements. I don't know how it is on your side, on your screen, but that is what I have here. Every line started with elements and ended with elements. The depending on how it is structured, depending on the type of element you are using. Like here, doc type started with the element and ended. HTML here, we have HTML down here. Head here, we have head here. We have meta here. It's ended here too. It's ended here. You can see the tag, the opening tag and the closing tag. Here we have body, we have title, has the beginning and the end. All right, so it is whatever we see in the browser, it is this guy called elements that is telling the web browser what to do. And that is what I'm here to explain. For now, at the beginning of this class, this section, I'm not going to explain all the things and their functions or functionalities. But in the first section of this very HTML, what we're doing is to tell you or show you examples of elements. So my duty here now to show you examples of elements. When we go to the next section, I will tell you their functionality. But I need to be careful not to waste a lot of time because these elements I'm explaining now, they are not the end of HTML. So I told you that it is the beginning and the end of HTML, but they are not the end in the sense that they belong to different sections in HTML. I'll be making mention of HTML5. I'll be mentioning HTML5. HTML5 is the current version of HTML that is in the web development today. Previously, we had other versions of HTML. We had the HTML2. Let me copy this so you can. Okay, we'll get to the end. We have HTML2. Then later we have HTML 3.2. Much later, we had HTML4 version 4 and later version 4.01. Currently we have HTML5. The elements I'm using here now, or whatever I'm teaching in my HTML program here, tutorial, will all be on HTML5. There are some elements that are no more in use in this HTML5. I'm not going to use them. I will only use the elements that are used in the current HTML5. And I'm going to be wide in the sense that I make sure I touch every single element. The HTML as a topic or as a course in this channel, we handle every single element. So after the versions of HTML, I would like to show you examples of HTML. From here, I'm not explaining them, just show you the examples as we continue in this same tutorial. So this is a doc type. My duty now is to show you these elements. So doc type is an element. HTML is an element. Just watch all the things that have the blue color. They are the elements we're referring to. So head is an element. Head started here and ended here. Meta is an element. Title is an element. Body starts here and ended down here. This HTML ended here but started up here, the second line. Here I've used head2. Head2 is an element. Head4 is an element. Head3 is an element. P, which is paragraph, is also an element. So let me take time to pull down to show you a good number of elements. Apart from the ones I've mentioned, I'll explain. There's the one I'm going to show you all of them. Apart from the ones I've mentioned that we saw in the head section of the HTML page. Sorry, the head section of the web page. Apart from these ones I've shown you, the other ones we'll use. So I would like you to see them. But later I'll go into what they do in web development. So whatever I write here to show at the browser, you can see they have shown. But there's something you need to know. The elements I want to mention now, I'll mention them in the form they are supposed to be. So in that form they are supposed to be, they're not going to show in the browser because we're not putting any text in them. So I'll go to H1. H1 is heading 1. I'm not going to write them because it's going to waste me time. H2 is heading 2. H3 is heading 3. H4 is heading 4. H5 is heading 5. Then lastly, H6 is heading 6. I'll show you some. I will not show you all. You will definitely know how they are being used. I save and you see. If you look at our browser, you will definitely know the difference between these things. So if you need something that should be broader than this, you use this. You need something that's bigger than this, you need this, you use this. So heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the moment you write the element and put anything there, the browser will not look, this is what this person wants, and they'll give it, and it will give it to you. The browser will know and say, look, this is what this person needs. So here at the text editor, they are the same, but at the browser, they are not the same. The browser did not give you the same because the instruction given to your browser was just look, show me these things. That's all about heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see the output of the browser. Let's not forget this one, footer. Footer, I'll use, when I use it, you get to know it, but its name is footer. It is normally used at the foot of the browser. You normally see things like that at the browser, and that's what footer is all about. After footer, there's something called div. Div means division. Like I told you, I want to list them to you. A good number of them, not all of them, but when we start using them, we get to know all of them. So division, we have our P, which is paragraph. This one is paragraph. After paragraph, we also have a break. We call it BR. BR tag is break. It breaks a line. If I have something like this, I say mascot media video YouTube tutorial. I say, look at the browser, it must have shown. It's there. You can see it. Mascot media video YouTube tutorial. Now, what if I don't want to be all that long? I put the BR tag and save. Can you see what happened at the browser? At the text editor is on the same line, but at the browser, the browser was able to figure out what you are trying to do, that you put BR. So the browser has to break it, and now you have two lines. But it is left for you whether you, if it is not what you have in mind, then you tell the browser what you want have in mind by putting an element. Use the element to tell the browser what you want in mind. Use element to tell the browser what you have in mind. The browser listens to what you are saying through the element. If you cannot say what the browser will understand through the element, then there's a problem. There's definitely going to be miscommunication. But if you're able to tell the browser what the browser understands, but meanwhile, whatever you tell the browser is what it does, the output now will justify whether you have that thing in mind or not. But if you don't have the thing, what you're seeing in the browser, if it is not what you have in mind, then you have to go and look for an element that will do that for you. And whatever I'm saying here now, I've not even mentioned attribute. The attribute is the magician that does those things. But we are teaching element, and we believe that it's the work of element to do those things. Okay, so having seen the BR tag, then we see other ones like another list. I don't want to be listing them. Another list is UL. After that, we have other list, which is OL. They will have list, which is LI. We have other ones like bold. We have other elements like B, bold. Sorry for that. Like bold, which is B. Other elements like strong. We have other elements like anchor, which is A. A is anchor. I wanted to write anchor is. So A is anchor. We have other elements like section. Title is up there. You have seen title. You have seen meta. Italic, span, details, fig caption, figure, nav for navigation. Nav is for navigation. Summary is an element. Table, caption, table row, table head, table data. We have a horizontal row, HR, horizontal row. This one draws a line. I'm not explaining them, please. But this one draws a line. IMG, that's the image tag. ING, that's the image tag. I have link. These and other ones are what we call elements. The other ones that will come later, I will explain them. But if I'm to see this BR here and see meta, we have seen meta before. Up there at the head, we also see link. We've not seen this before. Link. These are elements. From beginning here, up here, these elements. There are many more of them. But like I said, we'll be explaining them where we will need them. But this is what I call empty elements. I want to look at the ones I've mentioned to see if they are empty elements. So I will show you. Look at doc type. It has a doc type. But look at HTML. HTML has the first one, the left one, and the right one. Down here, the right one here. We call it open and closing tags. Opening and closing tags. If you need to understand very well, look at these ones I've mentioned. This one has open and close. It has an open and close. Open and close. Check the opening, please. The difference between two of them. This one has a less than sign. Then you write the letter, then greater than. Then there's a space or whatever, you put a less than. Then put a forward slash before the other. Anyone that is not in this one, that doesn't have the left or the opening tag and the closing tag, then we'll call it empty element. A good number of them, look at it here. Meta is an empty element. Link used to be here, but it's down here. I'm still showing examples. This is link. It has one side. So we call them empty elements. Meta, empty element. BR tag, empty element. Image tag, empty element. HR tag, that's the horizontal row, empty element. So anyone you see in this form, whether I've mentioned it or not, that is in this form, in this category, we'll call them empty elements. That's where they belong. Then we can also see what we call nested elements. If you look at this page here, you realize that everybody is nested apart from HTML. HTML is here at the beginning, and down here is here. Is the first and the last. After doc type, the next one you see is HTML. Is the beginning and the last. So every other thing like head is nested into it. Body is also nested into it. Inside the head, we have a title, meta, link, and many of them. Inside the body, you have all these ones we use in our development. So all of them are nested. They're all nested elements. There is what we'll call in here too. I wouldn't want to see the browser because. So how would I call semantic elements? These semantic elements are elements that has meaning. The question now is, are they elements that don't have meaning? Yes. The elements that when you mention them to the browser is thinking of something else. Semantic elements clearly describes its meaning to both the browser and the developer. When they are used, the developer has something in mind for using it, and the browser will understand something which can be seen. All right. Examples of semantic elements. Number one is head. Head is a good example of semantic element. Head as an element, please. Form, head, table, article, aside, details, figure, footer, and many others are good examples of semantic elements. There's what we call non-semantic elements. Non-semantic elements. Examples of non-semantic element. Please, this thing is not. It's not good to leave something outside an element. Though I'm trying to explain something about in development, you don't write something and keep outside an element unless it's a comment. This one is supposed to go inside element, but because I was trying to explain, so let it be. But don't leave it. There must be an element, whether an empty element or not. Use it to frame anything you're writing in development. Having said that, examples of non-semantic elements. Div. Div is a good example of that. Span, also a good example of that. And others, which we'll see later. So let's see types of elements. Types of elements. There's not too much coding today. There's not too much coding in this very topic. That's the beginning of HTML. We'll get to some area where we'll start doing some coding. Types of elements. The two major classes or divisions of elements. We're looking at block types of elements. We'll look at block level elements. Block level elements. That's the first one we'll see. Block level elements and inline elements. A block level element always starts on a new line and tests up the full width that's available in that page. I don't know whether you understood what I just said. It tests up the full width of whatsoever, the length, the full width of whatsoever is available in that browser. If it starts from the left, it gets to the end by the right. Okay, let's see how our browser is going to be dating, it's going to be started. So let me put some break tags so that it can give me break. All right, so this will come up. Let me show you what I mean by that. Block level elements. That is element for you. Thanks for that. Block level elements. Let's say, for example, I have a div. I'll show you the ones we'll call block level. Even if I didn't show you, after the explanation, when you see them, you'll know. So this is mascot. Here I save. You will see it at the browser is there. They also give some spaces down here, so it will be easier for you to see. Mascot video, mascot media video on YouTube channel. Then I decided to style this div. Style, background color. Background color, any color that comes up. Background color, red. I want to look at the browser and see what happened. I wrote mascot media video at, I may decide to change the color white. I just wrote how many words? 1, 2, 3, 6 words that could not get to the end of the text, but it covered it. And this red thing have to take the entirety of this page from beginning here down to this. The question now is, why would it do something like that? Because it is a block level element. It's a block level element. It starts from beginning to the end. So now what if instead of writing this long text, probably it was the long text that caused it. Let's see what happens. We'll have something like this. We'll say mascot. I'll put on some background stuff and some say style and style it. Style it as a background color and blue. We save. You can see what happened is, let me detach it. The break tag. Give some space, please. Can you see what happened? I'm talking to the browser. I'm telling the browser, do this thing for me, and the browser is doing it. Here, it's just one test at the beginning, but it has taken the entirety from left to right. The horizontal area, line of that very page have been taken by that thing. So any element that does something like this is called block level element. It's called block level element. If in your practice you discover that, look, you cannot attach something by the side. Nothing can stay by the side here. There's nothing. If you don't understand, let me just do this now. I cut this one. Then this one ended here. I put it here. I want it to be on the same line. I save. All they do is they attach themselves, but one will be up and the other one will be down. There's no way they will be on the same line. To any element that does this thing, that cannot allow anyone to be by the side of it, and the browser, not in the text editor. And the text editor have done it here, but they cannot be in the browser. The browser will understand what you are saying. Even if that is not what you have in mind, it doesn't concern the browser. All you need that, look, you told me to give you a block level element, and I have given you a block level element, and that is it. So block level element, like I said, are element that takes the full length of that width. H1 is also a block level element. So let's return this to where it was. H1 to H6. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, all of them, they are block level elements. Form is a block level element. Paragraph is a block level element. Any element that will not allow others to be by its side is good number to look at them here. So let's look at inline elements. I'll try and tell you, inline elements are a few. They are not much. I'll use them here too so you'll see. heading 1. Here, so let's see inline elements. Inline elements, they are not much. Examples of inline: span. Example, span is there. Anchor, that's your A. Tag is there. IMG, tag, and a few of them. They are not much. We'll still use them. Let me try to use span so you understand what we're saying. If I have something like this, please, this is not good. You can't leave something out on the floor like this on the page. It's not good, please. All right, I have this, and then let me change the color so that it will be easier. Here, let me put some break tag. I don't like this thing getting down there. All right, having saved that, I will have it there. Is mascot media video on YouTube channel. Of course, you know that the YouTube color is red. So somebody help me there. Is it red? Yes. So let me put span. So I want that YouTube to be YouTube and its property, the channel to be red. If I save, nothing has happened. I just put an element here we call span and save, and nothing happened. So what does it mean? It means that it is not a block level element. Let me change that span and let me put paragraph. You see paragraph, I've changed this. They are inside the div, the mascot media, and then I have paragraph, the YouTube channel. I will save it, then you see what will happen there. Do you see what happened? This page has succeeded in breaking it. It's telling you that though they are in the same background, but for this test, this will be the first line. But after P, or whatever inside P, will definitely move to another line. So that's what block element is. But when I put the span, it did not change. When I put the span, it did not break. Let's see what will happen now. It will revert. It has gone back. So showing that span, it did not concern span. Span didn't even see you. The browser did not even see span as a block. But it's a block, we would have broken that very line and give us 2 lines. But there are things that span can do. So when you put span into an element, it's not going to affect it. The only thing that will affect the structure of the text, the only thing that will affect the text you've written is when you put an attribute inside the span and tell it to do a particular thing, then you start functioning that way. But just put the span inside a line of text, it's not going to do anything. It will still be one line. For example, I have this paragraph. I have this lorem 100. Now we have this paragraph. I save. This text is just one. No space, no breaking, no paragraph. What caused it? Because I put in one paragraph. If I come here to put another paragraph, go inside to put another paragraph. Put paragraph here. Give not closing. And put another paragraph here. Correct that. I will save and you see what will happen. Let's go to the browser. Have you seen what happened? It has to break it. Something happened, there's a complication there. So it has to break it. Splitting this one, this very one now is the one I put inside the last page. So this have shown us that paragraph is a block. If I have any other thing to put here, probably if I put H1 here or H2 here, I copy this to put anywhere. You see what will happen at the browser. Let's get it. Can you see what is happening? So these are block level. Let me not waste time on that. Now, let me put span here. Of course, we know what will happen, but I want to show you something. I copy this and put here. Nothing will happen. There's no need. There's no need trying to check. But I want to use it now to do something. That's what we can use it for. Since we say it cannot break, it is not a block level element, then why is it there in HTML as an element? Look at what it is. For example, now I use something because I don't want it to break. So that's why I'm using span. Style, and I say color. Change the color of text for me. Probably let me take green. I want something to be. I think I don't know if you can see the browser. Let me use red. Anybody can see. Can you see what happened? It changed the text color from the default, which is black, to red now. But did not break it. It did not give us a different paragraph or another line. It just all of them that are inside that very frame. Say, look, change the color to red. It's not just color. There are other things that we can do to it. Can change the font size, can change and do a lot of things. If I put image here, img, it will not change anything until I put what is inside, something. The attributes, the property attribute, and the value attribute. Now I inside the property attribute and value attribute, something will start showing. And I've done enough for me, for what I have here. I've done enough in telling you or explaining to you an introduction. This is an introduction to what an element is in HTML5. We've not done anything, but for it to be good or vibrant in HTML, you must be good with the elements. Without elements, you cannot do anything. So you need to spend your time to know these elements and what their functions are. So far, I've succeeded in giving you all that I have here. If there's anything I've forgotten, if you see anything that I didn't mention here, probably they must be in the next section of elements. This is the first section of elements. We'll go to section 2 and section 3, and anywhere we'll stop. So, but if you see anything we did not mention here, please enable to drop it at the comment section. I'll be around, available to ensure that you get explanation for any single comment drop in that section. So, in that case, we'll have to call it a day on the introduction of elements. See you next. Thank you. Having gone this far, thank you for following me. This is our channel, Mascot Media Video. By name, I am Gilbert Angonye, presenting this very thing to you. It's my pleasure to have you here, and I'm happy you have gone with us up to this level. If you value this tutorial very much, please enable to click that like button, share to friends, and don't forget to subscribe. These are things that will make our channel grow. Like I always say, this channel is new, but I tell you that whatever we're teaching here is not new. But we are trying to put it in a better place, the better position, so that you can easily understand what we are doing here. We are teachers, and we are teaching. We are presenting the best to you, using the best approach, an approach that will make it easier for you to follow in what we are doing. That's what we can solve.